The soft rays of morning sun spilled through the sheer curtains, painting golden stripes across the cozy bedroom. Wine gently brushed back the chestnut brown strands of her son's hair and leaned closer to kiss his forehead. Hi, June, sweetheart, come on, baby, wake up. You will be late if you don't get out of bed soon. The little boy stood under the covers, his face crunching adorably before he peeked one eye open. His sleepy voice, laced with innocence, tugged at her heart. Mummy, you know what? I saw Daddy in my dream today. Wine froze. The toothbrush she had in hand slipped from her fingers onto the nightstand, her chest tightening as if someone had just squeezed her heart. Her voice came out in a near whisper. What did you say? Hi, June sat up now, small fingers rubbing his eyes, unaware of how deeply his words struck. Yeah, I saw him. You always said he left us, but in the dream he was there. He hugged you, mommy. But you cried, he made you cry. Her breath hissed, tears welled up in her eyes, one quietly slipping down her cheek as she quickly wiped it away with the back of her hand. She turned to him and forced a gentle smile, the kind mothers give even when their hearts are breaking. Don't say that, Junie. Daddy, he loved us. He still does. He was just forced to leave. Sometimes grown ups have to make very hard choices. Her son looked up at her, his eyes filled with more understanding than most kids his age. I don't like seeing you cry, mommy, but I know daddy must have been sad too. Wine pulled him into a tight embrace, kissing the top of his head, grateful and amazed at how emotionally mature he was for just 8 years old. He always seemed to know exactly what to say to hold her together. As they sat quietly, Hajun suddenly pulled back and tilted his head. Oh, mommy? Oh, mommy, did you check that email? The one you sent your resume to last week. She blinked, completely catch off guard. Oh my goodness, Junie, thank you for reminding me. It's today, June 19th. He gave an enthusiastic note. Panicked but hopeful, she grabbed her laptop from the bedside table and opened it. Her hands trembled slightly as she navigated to her inbox, and there it was, the email. Congratulations, welcome to June Global Enterprises. Her eyes widened. She had been selected. Her heart skipped a beat. Oh my god, I got the job. I got it. She pulled Hajun into her arms, hugging him so tight that he giggled. You did. Mummy is the coolest. He leaped off the bed and sprinted toward the bathroom to get ready, already imagining her in a CEO's office. One smiled to herself as she watched him disappear behind the door. After breakfast and packing his bag, she dropped him off at school, both of them waving at each other until she turned the corner. Then she drove toward her new workplace, June Global Enterprises, one of the most powerful and influential corporate empires in the country. Her mind kept wandering back to the past. 9 years ago, she had fallen heads over heels in love with Jungkook. He had been her everything, her first love, her first heartbreak, the man she had dreamed of forever with. They had crossed boundaries, shared promises under the stars, and life had grown inside her, Haju, a symbol of that passionate love. But reality had shattered those dreams when she had gently asked him to speak to his family. His mother, a cold hearted woman, had refused, and worse, she had threatened him. If you marry that girl, I'll kill myself. Jungkook, desperate and torn between love and duty, had chosen his mother. But he didn't leave her with nothing. He bought her a luxurious apartment, ensured every comfort, every necessity, except himself. He never once visited, never once saw Hajun. And she could still hear his final words like a knife in her memory. I'm sorry we can't be together. It's better if we never meet again. No closure, no explanations, just silence. But God, in His mercy, gave her a reason to keep going. Her son, her Hajun, her little Jungkook looked like with the same deep eyes and that cheeky smile. She had raised him alone while juggling part-time jobs, completing her graduation, and recently working at Mintech Enterprises. But when that company collapsed and closed its operations, she was left unemployed. Desperate yet hopeful, she had sent out her resume to dozens of companies last week. And today, fate had a cruel sense of humor. Out of all the places June Global Enterprises had picked her, she inhaled deeply as the giant glass building loomed in front of her. Its name was etched in silver across the wide entrance, June Global Enterprises. Unknowingly, she was about to walk into the world of the man who had once broken her heart, now as his secretary. The grand lobby of June Global Enterprises was all glass, marble, and sleek perfection, modern yet intimidating. Wine walked in, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor, her fingers tightly gripping the strap of her handbag. Her heart was already beating unevenly from the memory filled drive here, but she forced a neutral expression as she approached the front desk. Behind the, behind the counter, a sharply dressed receptionist with bold lipstick and a slightly judgmental gaze looked up from her tablet. Her eyes scanned Vine from head to toe, lips curling with the faintest trace of disdain, as if silently questioning how someone in a modest outfit and minimal makeup had made it this far. Still, Vine remained composed. She smiled politely. Good morning, I'm here to see Mr. Jones. I was informed via email that I have been selected for the secretary position. The receptionist blinked slowly, then finally spoke with a clipped tone. Fifth floor cabin at the end of the corridor, left side. The names on the door. Try not to get lost. Thank you. There was no gratitude in return, but Wine didn't expect any. She simply adjusted her blazer and walked toward his office. She wasn't nervous, no, this was something else. A dull ache had taken root in her chest. Her stomach churned with unease. Perhaps it was the memories. Perhaps it was something else. Whatever it was, it clouded her mind just enough to make her forget what she was doing. By the time she reached the fifth floor, she didn't even pause to knock. Her hand pushed open the door out of instinct, and then she froze. The spacious office smelled of expensive calling and fresh coffee. The walls were dark wooden glass, the desk immaculate, and there, right beside, stood a woman clinging to the arm of a man. Wine's breath catch in her throat. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bargain. I should have knocked. She stepped back, eyes immediately lowering to the floor, embarrassment creeping up her spine. But it wasn't the awkward moment that held her still, it was him. When he turned around, her breath hitched again. The man she had once given everything to, now standing a few feet away in the flesh. Jungkook. The tuxedo hugged his tall frame perfectly. He looked powerful, colder than she remembered, but still just as breathtaking, and his sharp eyes were staring right at her. Before she could even process more, the woman beside him whined dramatically. Please, Jungkook, I love you. I have been by your side for years. You have to feel something. One's eyes widened, her heart twitched. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the scene unfolded right before her. Jungkook's jaw clenched. But I don't, Lana. I never did. The words were sharp, merciless. Once had snapped up his voice, that same deep tone that once whispered promises into her ear now echoed across this sterile, unfamiliar room. Her eyes locked with his, and in that moment, the past rushed back so fast at her. He had said the same kind of hurtless words to her, to once final cold. Lana, clearly not ready to accept the truth, stormed her feet in frustration, glaring at Vine like she was to blame. This isn't over. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. Jungkook exhaled slowly, adjusting the sleeves of his tuxedo before moving behind his desk. He didn't offer a greeting, his eyes remained unreadable. Wine's hands were trembling, barely noticeable, but she clasped them tightly in front of her to stop them. Miss Wine, is it? She swallowed and nodded, keeping her tone neutral. Yes, sir. He leaned back in his chair, observing her. You will be working as my personal secretary. Office hours are 9 to 6. You will manage my schedule, attend board meetings, prepare documents, and ensure all client communications are organized. Efficiency is expected, no excuses. Understood. You can start tomorrow. Yes, sir, I'll be here on time. There was nothing more to say. She turned quietly and walked out, closing the door behind her without another glance. But as she stepped back into the hallway, her breath finally left her body, long, shaky, and filled with everything she couldn't say. The man she once loved beyond limits was now her boss, and this time she couldn't afford to break. As the office door clicked shut, behind her, Jungkook remained seated, his eyes fixed on the spot she had stood moments ago. It had been 8 years. And yet, when she walked in, it felt like time had not passed at all. He ran a hand through his hair, then reached for the crystal glass of water on his desk, taking a slow sip to calm the tightness in his chest. But even as the cool liquid slid down his throat, it did nothing to extinguish the burning question circling his mind. She had changed. There were subtle shifts in her softer curves, a more mature elegance in her stance, a kind of strength in her eyes that had not been there before. Motherhood, maybe, but she was even more beautiful than he remembered. Ethereal, yet distant, as if she had sealed off her heart for good. He sighed deeply and leaned back in his chair, so she moved on, had a child, a husband perhaps. He didn't know what ached more, the regret or the jealousy beginning to bloom like poison in his veins? The next morning, Wine stood in front of the massive glass doors of June Global Enterprises, smoothing her blouse, her heart pounding in her chest. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The day started slowly. Nerves had her fumbling with the filling system and hesitating before knocking on Jungkook's door. But to her surprise, he remained professional, completely composed. No remarks, no memories brought up, no flicker of the past in his tone. And she was thankful after all, she was here for one reason to provide for Hajun, nothing else mattered. By 3 p.m., she was standing just outside his office as he briefed her on some new project files. The low baritone of his voice explaining timelines and targets echoed in her ears, but then suddenly her phone rang. I'm sorry, sir, it's an important call, just a minute. She stepped away politely and walked into the washroom nearby, switching her phone to speaker mode while fixing her hair in the mirror. Hello, mommy, I miss you. When are you coming back? My cartoon isn't funny without you. Vine laughed softly, her fingers tucking a loose strand behind her ear. Mommy, sorry, my Jan. I will try to come early today, okay? What do you want for dinner? Chocolate and smiley fries. Your usual demand. Okay, I'll bring it, but only if my baby finishes his homework. They both giggled, but then her heart dropped. Whose son is he? She froze, her gaze flickered up. His reflection was in the mirror. He had entered silently, standing behind her, his expression unreadable, but his eyes sharp and narrowed. Wine quickly ended the call. That's none of your business. He stepped forward, not accepting the brush off. I asked you something. Whose child is he? Wine, you got married to someone else? Her jaw tightened, and for the first time in years, she let her anger speak before her pain could. Yes, I did. After you left, what do you think I was supposed to do? Wait around like some tragic girl? His eyes flinched at her tone, but she didn't care. She walked past him and returned to her desk, keeping her head high. She had lied, but only because the truth was too complicated, too vulnerable to give him the man who had once shattered her. Later that night, the apartment was quiet. Wine tucked Hajun into bed and kissed his forehead. Listen to me, if someone knocks at the door, don't open it, okay? Just call mommy. Okay, but I won't chocolate. Okay, okay, mommy is going to get you chocolate and some ingredients too. We are out of eggs. She kissed his cheek and left, wrapping her shawl tightly as she stepped into the cool night, but back at the apartment. The doorbell rang. Little Hajun tiptoed over, remembering what his mother had said. But curiosity got the better of him. He peeked through the peephole and saw a well dressed man. He cracked the door open slightly. Is this Swine's house? Hi, June nodded innocently. I'm her boss. May I come in? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You can come. Jungkook stepped inside. The house was warm, filled with gentle lighting and simple furniture. There were toys in a basket near the couch, a drawing stuck to the fridge that say I love you, mommy. A strange feeling settled in his chest. Hajun, trying to be good host like his mother taught him, disappeared into the kitchen and returned with a glass of juice balanced carefully in both hands. Here, sir, for you. But just as he extended the hand, it slipped from his small hands and spilled all over Chobuk's white shirt. Cold juice, sticky, ruined fabric. Are you blind? Can't even hold a glass properly? Haju's lips quivered, his little face twisting as tears welled up in his big eyes. He sniffled, Mummy. The front door opened just then. Wine stepped in, plastic bags in hand, and then everything shattered. Her eyes darted from the puddle of juice to Jungkook's furious face to her son, who was now running toward her crying loudly. Mummy, he buried his face in his cloth, sobbing. Wine dropped the bags. Her body tensed, her fists clenched. Her voice came low, protective, trembling with fury. What did you say to my son? Wine clutched Hajun protectively to her chest, shielding him from the man who once shattered her world. Her heart thudded painfully in her ribcage, her fingers trembling as she slowly knelt beside him. But Jungkook's voice broke the silence, hoarse and barely above a whisper. Is he your child? His eyes traced every inch of Hajun's face, those soft blue eyes, that familiar pout, the jawline still forming but unmistakably similar to his own. He didn't need an answer, he already knew. Yes, he is mine, and maybe somehow he is yours too. A short silence followed, and then a single tear slipped down Jungkook's cheek. He didn't wipe it, he couldn't move, he stood frozen, haunted by the ghost of the boy he had never known and the woman he had abandoned. Mummy, is he my daddy? Wine hesitated, but then slowly she nodded. Yes, baby, he is. Hajun turned his teary eyes toward Jungkook, eyebrows furrowed in childish pain. He's so bad, he scolded me, he yelled at me and made me cry. He hiccuped again, clinging to Wine's shirt. Hey, no, no, please. Daddy didn't mean it. I was just frustrated. I didn't know. Please forgive Daddy, okay? He lowered himself slowly to Hajun's level, his hands trembling as he reached out. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't know you were mine. Hajun blinked, staring his face like a child trying to read a puzzle. Then, without warning, he threw his little arms around Jungkook's neck and hugged him tightly. Don't be bad again. Jungkook's arm instinctively wrapped around him, pulling him close. And then one saw it, his face broken, tears silently sliding down. The man who once walked away from her heart now held the place he never knew he left behind. Wine stood frozen. She had never seen him cry, not even when he walked away from her 8 years ago. But now he was sobbing silently into their son's shoulder. She felt her own chest twisted painfully, but her voice stayed steady. You can go now, please. Jungkook slowly pulled away from the hug, his eyes glassy, but he didn't move. Daddy, why did you leave my mommy? She cried so much, I saw her. Even when she thought I was sleeping, she cried with my photo, with your photo. Why did you do that to her? Wine's heart clenched. She tried to stop him. Junie, stop, leave him. But the child shook his head fiercely, voice rising in incense fueled fury. No, how could he do that, mommy? Let's ask him. First he hurt you, now me. Tell him to say sorry. Jungkook dropped to his knees again, his hands trembling as he reached for Wine's wrist. Eyes desperate, haunted. I'm sorry. I was a quart. I was afraid of losing my mother, afraid of hurting everyone, and I ended up hurting the only person who truly loved me. You begged me to stay, and I still left. And then I was too ashamed to ever come back. I didn't know about him, Wine. I swear on everything I have. I didn't know. He glanced at her June, voice cracking. If I had known, even for a second, I would have been there. I would have fought the world for him. His eyes slowly met hers again. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but please, Wine, let me fix what I can. Let me be part of his life, even if you never look at me the same again. The room went quiet, only Hajoon's sniffles could be heard. Wine stood silently, staring at the man she once gave her heart to, and the man now on his knees begging not for her love, but for his place as a father.